Hey boss chicks, in this video you're going to learn 4 tips that will help you successfully write your next book. So grab your pen and your paper and let's get started.
What's up, CEO boss chicks?
For those that are new to my channel, my name is Shante Wissanot. I am a 22-year-old certified life coach, published author, public speaker, and vice president of a non-profit organization. I wrote my first book when I was 12 years old and it got published at 13. I wrote my second book at 14 and I published it at 16. Then I wrote my third book at 20 or 21 years old. And so I get a lot of questions from people about how do you publish your first book? What tips would you give new writers? What mistakes did you run into? And so this is why I'm making this video. So our first tip I would give for new writers is to realize your first book may not be your best book. Now, I'm not telling you to lack on your writing or to not pay attention to the quality that you're giving out, because you want to give out quality if you expect people to invest into your book, but you need to give yourself time to grow. Your writing is going to grow and is going to develop over time, even if you have been writing for a long time but you've never published anything, or maybe you were somebody who used to like to publish things on Wattpad. Your writing is going to grow, and a lot of people, they get upset when their writing or their book doesn't turn out the way they want it to. And I want you to challenge yourself in order to grow, but in order for you to challenge yourself to do better in your writing, you have to give yourself room to let mistakes happen. My first book, oh my goodness, it is nothing compared to the way that my writing is now, but I had to give myself time to grow. My writing looks completely different from what 12-year-old Shante wrote, because I was 12. I really didn't have that much knowledge on how to really grab the attention of my readers. And as you dive more into that, as you dive more into what it means to be a good writer, your writing is going to develop. Of course, your book may not be as good as somebody who has written 25 books and they're multimillionaires. Don't even do that to yourself. You will get there when you get there. Just start where you are now and just work on getting better. Tip number 2, carve out at least 1 hour, 4 to 5 days a week. And this is a big mistake that I made, and sometimes I still have to catch myself up on this. A lot of writers, they would get discouraged during the process. Maybe you hit writer's block and you just let your book set and you work on it a little bit, then you let it sit again for a couple of months or a year. You work on a little bit, then you let it set. Don't do that, because if you keep doing that, I promise you your book is never going to get finished. Even if you work full-time, try to carve out the time, because if you don't want to work at that job forever, if your goal for writing this book is financial freedom, then you are going to have to force yourself, even if it means you are tired sometimes, that you are going to get on that computer, you are going to force yourself to write at least 1 hour, 4 to 5 days a week, because you do want to give yourself a break. Now, sometimes some people who are more advanced, they challenge themselves, which I like to do sometimes. They challenge themselves to write at least 1 or 2 chapters every day, or 1 or 2 chapters every other day. And that depends on, of course, how long your book is, what kind of book you are writing. Depending on the kind of book or novel that you are writing, some chapters may be shorter or longer than others, but I would shoot for at least 1 hour, 4 to 5 days a week. And if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, try and shoot to write 1 chapter a day or every other day, and see how fast your book is finished. Oh, and sis, if you made it this far into the video and you are liking this content, please smash the like button. Not only is it helping the channel grow, but it's helping me to help you. Tip number 3, please research your topic. I do not care if you are writing a fiction or a fantasy book and you're thinking it's fiction, it's fantasy, it doesn't matter. It does matter. When you are writing a fiction and a fantasy book, you want people to still fall in love with your writing and fall in love with your characters, and you want to almost trick people into believing their emotions, into believing like this is actually happening. You want them to fall in love with your characters, and it is kind of hard for them to do that if your book is extremely unrealistic. So research your topics, research what you want to write about. If you are going to write on very heavy topics concerning abuse or suicide, drug and alcohol addictions, and you want to implement things like that into your story, that's cool. Make sure you research it. If you want to put into your story about a girl who grew up with a father or who was sexually abused and is being abused by their parents, that's great. Make sure that you research that topic. You can Google it. You can look at interviews. You can interview people yourself. That's what I did. I did both. Not only did I do internet research on the topics, but I talked to people. I talked to people who were abused, who were in abusive relationships. What did it feel like? What were the emotions going through their mind? How did it affect them in the long run? You need to know those things because you want your book to be realistic as possible, even though it is fiction and fantasy. You don't want your book to throw people off, and you don't want it to offend anybody, because if you write a book concerning a heavy topic and you didn't research it, and somebody who has actually been through that reads the book, you're going to highly offend them, and you do not want that. And tip number 4, paint a picture with your words. What do I mean? For example, if you're talking to a mature audience, something like, the salty liquid she tried to hold in peeked over the brim of her eyelids and cascaded down her red cheek. Soon the lone tear was accompanied by its friends as the laughs of the students grew louder. That fits more for a mature audience than saying something like Jasmine cried because she was embarrassed. That's fine, but it's boring. But when you are writing something for a mature audience, you want to paint a good picture with your words. You want them to feel something. You want them to be able to imagine it in their head. Just saying something, she cried, she was angry, and walked away, that sounds really boring, okay? So you want to get descriptive, not too descriptive, because I'm going to have a video on that. Some of you guys be getting so descriptive with your books. Some people have almost written full chapters with one scene. And I mean not even the full scene. You are supposed to be writing a scene where two girls fight, and then the cops come, and then you have all this chaos going, and then the boyfriend comes and then breaks everything up. People have written a scene where they are still stuck on the verbal altercation going on, and that has taken up the whole chapter, and they haven't even gotten to the physical altercation. That's how descriptive you have gotten. And when you are that descriptive, you are going to also bore your readers that way, because they are not going to read 8 chapters that are filled with one scene, because you don't know when to stop being too descriptive. So you want to be descriptive, but not too descriptive. You want to paint a picture for them with your words. Your readers are smart. They can tell by the way you describe the scene that she's embarrassed, that he's mad, that she's upset. You don't have to tell them she is mad, she got upset. They can very clearly see that by the way you describe the scene. So please remember that. Alright you guys, that's it for today's video. To show your support and appreciation for the channel, please hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe. If you need more content to develop you as a leader, please check out the description box down below. I will have the links to my Spotify podcast, my website, and my blog, alright? Remember, it's CEO Boss Chick Mentality time, baby. Let's go.